that yes, we did have someone who built those pyramids, who made those bowls, who built the stone walls like in southern Bosnia, which are similar to the ones in Peru or Egypt or Mexico, and we are finding the traces of one mysteriously disappeared civilization.
We have been talking about that on this program before, of course, about the possibility of, as you say, an ancient civilization that seemed to have either been able to, travel around the globe, as it were, or it might actually have been a global civilization. Any thoughts on that?
Yes. I got a book written on the subject called The Civilizations Before the Beginning of the Official History. What we are finding throughout the planet are the proofs in a stone that really one developed or more than one civilizations existed in distant past, probably before the end of the last ice age. Between the coasts of Japan and Taiwan, probably you've heard about the 15 underwater towns on the bottom of the Pacific Ocean floor.
Yeah.
And we know that for last 12,000 years there were no such tectonic movements which could cause that those towns sunk for about 80 meters. It means that somebody built them more than 12,000 years. And as you know, the official history started 6,000 to 7,000 years ago in Sumer and Babylon, Ur and Assyria and ancient Egypt. Now we got civilizations thousands and thousands of years older. The 250 Chinese pyramids in the central Chinese province of Shanxi, according to the earlier archaeologists, were probably older than 12,000 years. Now we have some traces that in Mexico and Peru, the first dating of some of the pyramids over there were wrong, and that those civilizations were much older and much more mysterious than we thought previously. And now we have the case of the Bosnian pyramid. I feel that sooner or later, once we get inside the pyramids, we will find some organic material which will convince the scientific world that really we did have a previous phase or previous cycle in the human history. And that would be a remarkable discovery.
Yes,
for
indeed.
Not only archaeology and history, but for the science.
Yeah, and for the human, history, as it were, to discover that there might have been an ancestor to us. Or do you want to, I don't know how far you go, so to speak. There are a lot of researchers who, claim that this might not have been a totally either human civilization or something else, or even a previous version of the human, as it were, some kind of Cro-Magnon that actually had much more intelligence than we today believe. Do you have any theories or ideas about this at all?
Now, personally, I stay open for any option. But my thinking about, let's say, Bosnian pyramids, it doesn't mean that if we have a huge, colossal buildings, and it seems impossible that any other civilization in the past built them, it doesn't mean necessarily that ETs build them, extraterrestrials, or any other civilizations from the outer space.
That's right.
What I think is that humans in the past did have certain mental skills which we lost over time. They did not have the technology the way we have them today. They did not have computers or cranes or vehicles, but they had other means to build, to shape, to transport, to make such a colossal buildings. Let's not forget that, let's say in eastern Lebanon, I was there a couple of months ago, in the town called Baalbek, there existed the stone blocks, the biggest one being 1,200 tons in weight.
Yeah.
And we know that our present technology can move up to 300 tons. Now, who shaped those stone blocks? and who moved them for 1.5 kilometers on the top of the nearby hill, and who built the first walls over there 5,000 to 8,000 years ago, or even longer than that.
Yeah.
Now, the modern archaeology does not have the answer, but the answer has to exist. We have to find some answers, whether it were the humans with the certain skills which we lost over time, or it was some other intelligent hand.
Yeah. As you say, apparently then maybe no technology in that sense were involved. How about, you know, maybe not a scientific or the kind of technology we use today? There are theories going around on speculating about, you know, different form of acoustics or other forms of you know, I don't want to say maybe, well, I don't know, anti-gravity are a few, if you somehow actually can, through magnetics or anti-gravity devices, actually can lift the stones much easier and so forth. Is this areas that you go into at all?
Yes. Now, I think that you are giving us a lot of material to think. Now, you know that if you bring the opera singer and ask him to produce the high C, that if he keeps the glass in his hand, that the glass will break. What does it mean? It means that the sound has the power. In this particular case, the power is destroying the glass. It has a destructive force. But if we change the frequency of the sound, instead of breaking the glass, it is possible that the sound moves the glass, or lift it up, or transport it. And probably some of the temples built on Tibet can be explained through using the frequency or the power of sound to build those temples.
Yeah.
So not necessarily they had to have cranes or trucks, but they had some knowledge, some mental skills, how to build something using their own power.
Interesting. You know, one thing also that comes to mind right away, speaking about these pyramids, have you yet discovered any, how should I say, rooms inside the pyramid structures themselves? Any kind of opening somewhere? How is that going?
Now, you're asking me very logical questions as this interview progresses. I must admit that. During the months of November, December, and January, we had two teams of georadar experts from Serbia and from Germany. What we asked them was to try to locate possible openings and possible passageways within the Bosnian pyramids. Now, the German experts discovered about 44 anomalies which, according to them, cannot have the natural cause. And in most of them, basically they are finding the passageways within the pyramid of the sun. Now, during the next month, August, we are going to start digging on the north side of the pyramid of the sun, the place where the Germans located those passageways, and they are about 4 meters deep. And I sincerely hope that a couple of months from now, the world would hear about the openings, about the entrance into the Bosnian pyramid of the sun.
Fascinating. You know, love to hear how that progressed. You know, one thing also that comes to mind that you mentioned earlier was that you don't have the same restrictions as a lot of other countries or governments seem to have on their particular areas. How have the response from the Bosnian government been, or who owns this area, you know, where these pyramids are at now?
That's an excellent question also. Now, the work has been run by the foundation, which is non-profit, non-political, and non-government organization. 2 years ago, I established this foundation, which we called the Archaeological Park Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation. And very soon, a lot of Bosnians in Bosnia and abroad, and a lot of other scientists, experts, volunteers, researchers, joined us and started the effort to uncover this mystery in Bosnia. And we spoke to the local community who helped us to get the permits for further research.
Mm-hmm.
But as it is always the case, when you come with something new and progressive, some of the local conservative forces, especially the inner archaeological circle and geologists in Bosnia,
Mm-hmm.
show that